If you feel like you're all over the place, swinging from mood to mood, thought to thought, decision to decision, and you can't figure out why nothing seems to stick, I need you to hear this. You're not broken. You're not inconsistent. You're not a mess. You're actually incredibly consistent. And that's the problem. I know what it feels like to think you're the only one who can't get their stuff together. Everyone else seems to have it figured out by now. You're in midlife. You've been around, you've done things, you've lived, you've seen, you've learned. You should have it all figured out by now, right? And yet, here you are, starting over, again. Maybe feeling shame about that. Maybe embarrassed to ask for help because shouldn't you know better by this point? Here's what I want you to understand. You're not random. You're not chaotic. What looks like inconsistency on the surface is actually a very consistent pattern running underneath everything you do.
So this is one of those messages that I was in the middle of a pole session and I'm spinning at what feels like 100 miles an hour and I'm twisted into this weird pretzel shape and suddenly this thought comes to my head.
Sometimes it's hard to imagine that at moments like this, when I'm spinning and I'm upside down and I am twisted into some crazy shape like this, that I receive these huge, massive downloads that really connect all the dots for me. And it's that natural embodiment of flow that opens you up to receive those messages. And this is where the message of patterns comes in. The reason why you feel all over the place is because you haven't sat in the stillness of the sacred pause long enough to realize what it is you are actually doing. You've been running on autopilot, operating from this conditioning that you probably never even questioned. And I'm going to say something that might be kind of hard to hear, but if you are not actively making yourself aware through journaling, coaching, therapy, mentorship, through radical honesty and observation, um, you will coast by wondering why your life just seems to be passing you by or that you're stuck. Trust me, I know because I have been you. And here's the thing about patterns, they don't announce themselves. They just are kind of there, right? Like the uninvited guest. They don't come with a name tag that says, "Hi, I'm your self sabotage pattern from 1997." They just kind of run in the background consistently, quietly, um, without us even really realizing it. And to come into this awareness, it requires two things from us that most of us resist: stillness, which I like to call the sacred pause, and radical honesty, the kind that makes you really uncomfortable. When you start to see your patterns, and I mean really see them, you will start to notice something profound. You will see that you're not just doing random things out of the blue that sabotage you. You are repeating patterns that at one time may have kept you safe. They were protective of you in a time in your life when you really needed them to be. And they helped to build you up to this level. But now they are dismantling all of your hard work. And I want to share a couple of examples from my life. I would procrastinate on the very things that would push me to that next level because subconsciously I had a fear of success, not failure, but success. Because success brought on being seen. Being seen brought on opportunities to be judged. And while I also had a fear of failure that brought on its own blocks like perfectionism, fear of success was a much bigger issue for me. Once I recognized this pattern, I could see exactly when it would pop up. Right when a huge shift was about to happen, right when I was getting ready to spiral up to that next level, right when a huge opportunity would come around for me to be more visible. My ego would just jump in there with all of the procrastination tactics possible to try to keep me safe by keeping me small. My ego would say things like, you're going to be seen, you're going to be judged. They're going to say, who does she think she is? And I'm pretty sure that you have all had your own internal conversations like this, right? But here's the thing, and the truth that I had to really sit with is that no matter what we do, we are going to be judged by someone somewhere out in the internet. So we have to be okay with that. And here's the other thing, that none of that is about us personally, and neither is it our responsibility to worry about. So I've pretty much had to do things on my own, depend on myself all my life, even in my marriage. If I wanted something done, 90% of the time I had to do it myself. And so I stopped asking because my needs were met with when I have time for it, or that's not essential, or just not ever. And so doing it by myself became my survival strategy. It got things done, it met my needs. But when I was on my own and I started surrounding myself with people who actually wanted to support me, I couldn't receive it because I felt this sense of guilt about being a burden. I would hesitate to let them help me. And so that pattern of being hyper independent that protected me from disappointment in the past was blocking me from the reciprocity that I had never had, but I desperately wanted and needed. So this is a huge one for us in midlife because we've lived, right? And we should have learned. And yet here we are starting over, and this creates shame and embarrassment. It feeds that hyper independence in us because we think that we should have it all figured out at this point. There shouldn't be anything that we need help on, right? But that shame, it's just another pattern keeping us stuck in autopilot, preventing us from getting the support that we actually need, want, deserve, and desire. How do you break free from autopilot? You enter what I call the sacred pause. And this is stillness where you can finally see what you are doing. It's not what you think you are doing because they are very different things. And a lot of times we think we are reacting in a certain way, that we are doing things in a certain way. And when we really sit with our patterns and recognize them for what they are, we discover that we are not operating in the best way possible for our growth, our healing, and our evolution. So the process looks like this. You enter the sacred pause, and this is that stillness that you just allow into your life. So you're able to see the patterns fully for what they are, and
It's not something that's forced. It's not sitting in front of your TV, zoning out, and it is definitely not comfortable. I cannot state that enough. It is going to feel very disorienting and like laziness, because we are so conditioned to always be on, always be moving, always be doing something, always changing, always fixing something. And the sacred pause is not about fixing. And then there is the awareness, raw, deep, vulnerable, honest awareness. Recognizing what you're actually doing and feeling in the present moment. We're not focusing on the past. We're not focusing on what we can feel like in the future. In this very present moment, when something hits you, when something triggers you, when something pushes you out of alignment, what are you consciously or really unconsciously doing? That's what you're coming into awareness of. So you're looking for things like how you reach for your phone and scroll social media for hours when you're putting off doing something you know would push you to the next level or that feels overwhelming. How you disconnect from people when hard conversations are necessary. What you were triggered by and when. What you react to instantly instead of taking the time to respond. The environment that you're in when you suddenly feel anger or when you feel triggered or when you feel anxious. The people you are around when you feel depleted or unseen. The foods that you're eating, because yes, this is important because those things really affect you in ways that most of us do not realize. But what are you eating right before you kind of crash out? And what are you watching, listening to, viewing, surrounding yourself with? What is influencing you when you suddenly feel overwhelmed, burdened, anxious, upset? All of these things truly matter. Then there is the consistency recognition. This is when you realize you're not random. You're very consistent because you are patterned. And that is not all of a bad thing, because with patterns, we can then release them and replace them with tools, mindset changes, and behaviors that actually align us with the woman that we are becoming. And this is not comfortable work, not at all. And you know what? Radical honesty never is. But it is the difference between coasting through the rest of your life on autopilot, wondering why nothing works out, wondering why you're miserable, wondering why you're exhausted, and why your needs aren't being met, and actually choosing to do something differently. And so here is what I know about you if you're still watching. You're ready. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. There is something in you that is tired of the patterns, tired of the autopilot, tired of feeling like you're all over the place. When deep down inside, you know there is something more consistent, more intentional, more aligned, more of you waiting to emerge. So the warning is this: without this work, you will continue to coast. The patterns that helped you to survive will start preventing you from thriving. You have to come to terms with the fact that what got you here to this point may not get you there, and that it has the potential to dismantle everything that you are trying to build next. So with the wording also comes an invitation. You get to examine these patterns. You get to release them. You get to rewrite what they mean to you. You get to choose differently. You get to allow your becoming. You are not broken. You don't need fixing. You need self-awareness. You need the stillness and the revelation of the sacred pause. You need radical honesty with yourself about what is running your life. This is the beginning of what I call the Allowing Your Becoming framework. The 6 phases that I guide women on. And it starts with the unbecoming. And this is where you're recognizing those patterns that once kept you safe but are now dismantling your work. Then there's the sacred pause. This is that stillness that we've talked about. That stillness and discomfort where you are not judging, you are not rushing to fix. You are sitting in it long enough so you can recognize what is actually going on. Then there is the pivot. The pivot is that radical honesty, right? It's where you're observing and you're choosing consciousness over autopilot. Then there is the rewriting. This is where you're understanding that you're not broken, you're just patterned. And so you start rewriting in tools into your life that continue on this journey with you, that are patterns and mindset changes, all these things that are aligning with the woman you are becoming. Then there's the actual alignment. And this is where you're actively choosing awareness and you're engaging in new patterns that feel good, that feel expansive, that are completely in tune with her, the woman you are becoming. Then there is the becoming. And this is where you are no longer coasting. You are kicking ass and taking names. You are consciously creating the life that you were always meant to live. And none of this is about fixing, right? This is about waking yourself up and aligning. So right now, I am giving you permission to stop calling yourself a mess, to stop saying that you're all over the place, to stop believing that you are broken. You're a pattern, and those patterns can be seen, and what can be seen can be revised and rewritten so that now they are empowering. And your next step is simply to start observing. Just observe. When you feel yourself spiraling, I just want you to pause and ask yourself, what pattern is running right now? When did I learn this? What was it protecting me from then? And what is it blocking me from now? And just observe without judgment. That is the sacred pod. And if you're ready to go deeper, I guide women on this unbecoming to becoming process. I walk alongside women just like you, and not as some perfect guru on a mountaintop, because that will never ever be me. But I walk alongside you as someone who has lived it, who is still living it, who is experiencing all of these things, and I share that experience with you. I will also link below my Aligned Restart journal prompts. This is a free download that will help you on your journey to restarting, whatever that restart looks like for you. And so I just want to leave you with the message that you're not all over the place. You are exactly where you need to be, and you are right on time to begin to be.